What is going on with these members of Congress cherry picking the Constitution and having no ramifications for doing so, and actually even having like Supreme Court people even hold this stuff up? How do we begin to fix something that's so far gone?
People always refer to the Constitution, but then they completely ignore the Declaration of Independence. And the bottom line is you can't separate the two. So the Declaration of Independence, if in business terms, right? So let's kind of talk in business terms. The Declaration of Independence is like the Articles of Incorporation, and the Constitution are like the bylaws, right? How the corporation runs, the rules, right? So in the Declaration of Independence, where it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator by certain unalienable rights, that among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And let's just talk about that for a second. We are endowed by our creator. Okay. Our creator. Who is that? That's God. Okay. So there's this big push right now to remove God out of everything. Separation of church and state, whenever that's nowhere in the Constitution. People don't even know what it means. It's ignorant as crap. We have been endowed by our creator with certain unalienable rights, among which are life. Life always comes first. That liberty, because you can't have true liberty if you don't first value life, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, happiness isn't a right. The pursuit is. And the pursuit is what people like the World Economic Organization, like the World Economic Forum, right? That's what they're coming. They're trying to take away our identity as a people that likes to work, to pursue, to go after something. But the pursuit of happiness is the right. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. I want to get into the minds of the founding fathers. What did certain terms mean back then? And what was going on in that day? Because that was what was fresh on, like the Revolutionary War, for example. That was fresh on our founding fathers' minds. But when the Second Amendment was written, this war that they just fought against a tyrannical government was fresh on their minds. The Second Amendment places a restriction on the government, not the citizen, the government. See, here in America, we have what are referred to as negative rights, right? Negative rights, which means that something has to be limited to kind of leave a void. And in that void, there's liberty, there's freedom. So the Second Amendment limits the government being able to say yes, no, or to be able to regulate in any way, shape, form, or fashion whether we can own a firearm or not, which includes ammunition, because firearms are useless without ammunition. They can't make any additional requirements because it is a right. It's not a privilege. People want to talk about the car, having a driver's license. You have a driver's license to drive a car. Driving is a privilege. It is not a right. The Second Amendment, our right to bear arms and our right to self-defense, is just as much a right as our right to life and our right to breathe air. We need more people to stand up. We've got to start building coalitions. We've got to start putting pressure on these legislators. We have to put pressure, make them do the will of the people, right? They're supposed to only be able to govern under our consent. If they refuse to do the will of the majority, then we need to get their butts out of there. Now, the challenge with doing that is that an incumbent has a 98% success reelection rate. We have got to build coalitions that are willing to go out there, to go beyond the walls of the district, beyond the walls of Texas, and into other states where these so-called, and the Democrats are going to Democrat. That's what they're going to do. But let's talk about Republicans for a second. 435 voting members of the House, less than 40 have conservative voting records. We need to build coalitions that are willing to look at every single Republican that's not acting and voting like a Republican. And we need to expose their voting records to their constituents so that their constituents can vote their butts out of office and replace them with an America First constitutionalist. Now, this is something that's going to take a lot of dang work. It's going to take a lot of time. And here's the last thing that I'll say to this. It's not easy. And to give you an idea, the Marxists have been at it for over 100 years. And what pisses me off is we have a lot of patriots. They see what happened in 2020. They feel disenfranchised. 2 years later, 2022 happens. It's not the red wave. And all of a sudden, they just want to give up. First thing, I'm glad that our founding fathers didn't give up. They fought an actual war for freedom. But then the Marxists, they've literally been at this for decades, over 100 years, exercising patience and exercising the principle of incrementalism. Now it's not incremental anymore because they've already been down that route. But the problem with conservatives is we're looking for results right now. You know as well as I do, there's no freaking magic pill. It takes freaking work. And so where are the patriots that are willing to work, that are willing to have some resilience, that are willing to freaking go through some persecution, that are willing to keep the torch of liberty, that are willing to give of themselves their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor for the cause of liberty, like our founding fathers? Where's that? That's what we need. But we have too many, and I'm going to keep it clean. We've got too many freaking people that call themselves patriots, but they're sunshine patriots and summer soldiers. But I think about Thomas Paine, that these are the times that try men's souls. These are the times that try men's souls. We have got to show up. We've got to show out. We have got to do whatever we can legally and ethically. The problem is we're not letting ourselves be heard. You know, Reagan talked about the silent majority. That's the problem. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. If the majority is silent, then the minority will tyrant. And that's what we're seeing right now. If the majority is silent, the minority will tyrant. And that's what we're seeing. And do you really think the norm are for all of these little kids in these schools to go through all of this trans surgery? Do you really think that all of these kids, that they're confused about their sexual orientation, about what gender they are? No, they're not confused. But why is all this stuff going on? The tyranny of the minority. Now, we got to step up, man. I've always said that if we lose our country, it will not be because of corruption in the government. It will be because of complacency in the electorate. Where are the patriots that are willing to stop passing the buck, that are willing to look in the freaking mirror and say, if it's to be, it's up to me, and accept some gosh dang responsibility? This is our country. It's time for us to reclaim what rightfully belongs to us.
This is the Today with Tally podcast.